Okay, and we're recording. All right. Hey, welcome everybody to the Cryptonairz AMA with Joe Shmoes Not So Average Club. I am Moses, and I'm here with, oh man, I don't know how to pronounce your screen name.
You can just say RHH.
I'm here with RHH and Zero X Magic. They're co-founders of Joe Shmoes. So welcome, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to remind everybody that nothing we're going to talk about up here today is financial advice. We're just talking about a project, letting you guys learn a little bit more about it. They're launching on Friday, so on Magic Eden's Launchpad, which is really awesome because those projects basically have like close to 100% mint out rate. So I think things are going to go really well. So why don't you guys just go ahead and get started telling us, giving us an overview of what the project's about.
Yeah, I can kick things off. Awesome. So the Joe Shmoes Not So Average Club is multifaceted. There's three main parts. So the first part would be an experiment in self-governance, which is a piece of work that we've been putting together for the past 5 years in our organization, which is called Transformation Labs. And RHH has much to expand on in that domain. So I'll pause there regarding the DAO. The second piece is it's an international community, of course, of average Joes who are seeking to attain financial freedom through crypto and want a supportive community who's with them along the way. So we provide educational opportunities. We have a channel in our Discord that's called the Not So Average Mindset channel that teaches you how to think like a wealthy investor. And all of the content is written and taught by wealthy investors. For example, the chief investment officer of a crypto hedge fund, millionaire NFT traders, all kinds of really cool people in the industry who have done really well. We just want to make sure that we're giving expert mindset tips and expert fundamental lessons to people so that they can learn how to be autonomous and independent in the wild west of crypto. Providing that baseline level of education. Also, the third piece is there's a bit of lore behind the Joe Shmoes, and apparently there's been rumors of alien abductions, which is our deflationary mechanism. Occasionally, we'll be sweeping the floor and snagging some of the underpriced Joes off of the floor and burning them in a burner wallet, and we're calling that an alien abduction. There's also been rumors of aliens in the collection, so we'll see. But that in a very quick nutshell. There's so much I want to expand on in those domains, but those three parts are the main aspects of the project. But RHH, is there anything else you want to share in that domain?
Sure. Yeah, there's a bunch to add to that as well, and I'm sure a lot of that will be illuminated in this conversation. But the first piece, around the education, I think is really important because we've got groups like this, and I've been a part of Cryptonairz for months now, and really love it here. And one thing that we're really focused on in Joe Shmoes is less about the alpha and particular things to invest in, and reviewing different projects, but really teaching people how to do that for themselves. Especially in the crypto space, there's tons of people shilling different coins, outside of a very curated environment like this, and people are just kind of looking for, I guess they're looking for answers. And so part of us part of what we're doing at Joe Shmoes is to empower people to really learn how to make decisions for themselves, how to take responsibility for their finances, and even especially how to hold the energetics of finances as well. It's really not easy when you've got a bunch of your cash invested in crypto and then you watch it go up 300%, then watch it go down 400%. And how to deal with that emotionally is really challenging. But once you can get that down, then your ability to start trading and start investing is, you've just got a lot more flexibility in that, and you can make much more broad decisions, much more financially sound decisions, and learn to be okay with the uncertainty that comes in the crypto markets. So that's one piece of it. And then the other piece of it, when it comes to DAOs, is that there's a lot of DAOs that are basically just trying to figure stuff out. They want to do a decentralized autonomous organization. They want the community to be a part of it. But as a lot of these DAOs are just getting started or have been going for a long time, there's a lot of challenges that come with that. How do you onboard new people? How do you pay people? And how do you be flexible? How do you actually do the voting? and how do you be flexible enough to keep the thing moving so quickly, because crypto goes like really, really fast. And so if there's just a couple of people in charge of things like all the time, then it just ends up like a traditional business structure where there's the people at the top who are making all the hiring decisions, and then all the pressure falls on them to make all the decisions, which can be really taxing. And if it's trying to go very, very quickly, it's not the most ideal scenario. Can end up collapsing basically at the pressure of the founder or the founders. And so what we're attempting to do with our experiment here at Joe Schmoes is to bring in this decentralized autonomous organization basically through this constitution that we've created over the last 5 years and applied in a business context of how we actually run our businesses. Bring that into the crypto space, and then really just give that to the community, get feedback, see how things go. And yeah, that's kind of a gist.
Yeah, and to like kind of add on top of that, like really the end goal and one of our like end visions with this thing is to actually be able to create a fully self-governing ecosystem that utilizes the DAO as more than just the treasury, and as more than just the traditional use, and be able to decentralize the actual responsibilities of the community to different individuals, and through this whole process hopefully create a model for others to be able to do it easier.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and if you are able to create something that actually does really like embody this, the spirit of a DAO, because like you said, giving giving people 3 things to choose from and saying, okay, pick, is not, decentralized, right? That's that's an illusion of choice.
Well,
Right.
That's exactly the issue right now. It's like right now it's the beginning phase of a DAO, right? I don't think there's anything essentially wrong with what's happening. It's like the beginning of the ecosystem starting to test the model of how do you actually decentralize like decision making and responsibility to the community. But the problem is it still leaves the majority of those people that run the organization in control of the final decision or the power making or how that decision is actually executed upon, right? So I think I read the Constitution. It's 45 pages long. And after I read it, like my first like initial inquiries were, how can we like this gives an actual model to the answer of how can you actually fully decentralize that responsibility and that decision making to the community, so that those founders eventually over time, it's definitely not like an immediate thing, but eventually over time, like those founders should be able to like step back to be community members at an equal level as everybody else. And I think that's what the goal of DAOs are. That's just not happening right now.
Exactly. Okay, so where does the NFT fit into this whole experiment / project?
Sure. I mean, so once you get the NFT, you get access to the DAO. So right now we've got a bunch of content on our Discord, and we're going to be putting out a lot more. That's going to be gated by the NFT. So once you have that, that's going to give you access to, the NFT holders, and you have to be verified and all of that. It's going to give you access to that channel. It's going to give you access to more. Marcus or Magic, maybe you can expand on this a little bit more.
Mhm.
But a big part of that too is you'll actually be able to participate in the DAO's activities.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Like
Go ahead, Joe.
let me jump in real quick here. Like the NFT is like the ticket to the experience, right? And the experiment. So the members of the community that like are forming around the value that we're creating, which 0x Magic can explain a little bit more, are actually the ones that are going to be participating in the experiment and like co-creating the building of the model with us.
And we're pretty obsessed with creating a self-governed, decentralized model, like really nailing this, because on the other side of this is freedom for both parties. It's freedom for the creators. It's freedom for the founders, because they don't have to lock themselves into one of their inspired creations and disappoint an entire community if they decide to move their life in a different direction. And the community actually gets empowered to step up and start to run itself. And people who might not have the knowledge or the expertise or whatever to build an NFT project from scratch or build whatever from scratch can now jump in and run it. And their dreams are coming true too, because they can have a full-time income or whatever in crypto, doing something that they really love and they were doing already naturally. So it solves both sides of the equations, which is why we've been developing this over years before the term DAO was even, relevant, or before it was even coined. So that's essentially what it is. But yeah, the NFT plays into it because it's a ticket into the community. It's a ticket into the experience. It gives you the ability to play one of these active roles in the community and participate, and then also get these golden nuggets of knowledge from all of the amazing people who are in the community, and all of the guest writers and other people that we'll be bringing in to enrich the experience of the Joe Schmoes.
Yeah, and that's something you see with pretty much with a lot of projects, right? Like it's tiring and taxing and takes a lot of time to run something. So I mean, I think if you want real longevity and projects from people who actually are very creative and have good ideas, who sometimes want to walk away and start focusing on something else, having a model for them to be able to do that is essential, I think. And if you do nail it down, the explosive growth I think that you'll see from different organizations employing those models is going to be impressive.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of the vision, because like you touched on a huge thing in the ecosystem, especially with founders, is like when a community grows to a certain point, most founders either become overwhelmed and take the action of creating more expectation for the community in order to keep floating their floor price, or they take the opposite action and they rug pull. And so the real inquiry, especially in the rug pull scenario for me, as I continually watched in the Solana ecosystem, more and more projects founders just quit, and then the communities are left there and wondering what to do, and are still passionate about it, and they'll still care about the roadmap and the vision and the art, but they just don't know what to do. And so when I read this document and as we started to create it, part of my intention around it was also to give models to not just founders who want to leave and exit, but also communities who have been left and who don't have the necessary leadership or structural leadership to take it on their own, and need a model in order to revive or derug their community.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, being able to recover a viable project that had its leadership just kind of bail out, that's an amazing prospect for I think a lot of people, especially people who maybe have over invested a lot of money into something, so they're very emotionally attached to it.
Right, exactly.
Which is they're all over the place, right? There's 1,000 projects like that. So maybe being able to see something make a comeback, and for one person who maybe has has a lot to offer, but doesn't need to get locked into one thing. You can offer a little bit to a lot of different people in an effective way. So it's really cool that you guys are focusing on that. I have not read the Constitution, but I mean, I need to sit down and go through it. And yeah, and see what you guys have come up with. Are there any specific points that you think you would want to share from that might be good and lend itself well to the conversation?
I will say that before we get into that, if anybody does want to access the Constitution, it's in our Discord and the mind map channel. There's a shareable link and also a PDF, so feel free to take a look there. But RHH, Joe, do you guys have anything specific that you might want to pull out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important thing that I and I'm not an author of the Constitution. I'm more just a digester, and now a participant in getting the word out about it. But the thing that struck me the most when reading it was solving the inquisition of how do you properly pay out or give financial incentive to the people that are already incentivized to participate in the community, right? So most DAO structures like in existence, like the real main incentive to participate is like you're going to get a financial incentive, right? So the first question for me is like, how do you incentivize people beyond financial incentive, which is really more just like community oriented question rather than like a DAO oriented question. But once that question's been answered, like the next question that like sits in my mind is like, how do you actually set that structure up where no one has to touch it, right? Like the main problem with Wonderland DAO was that the guy that was in control of all the fucking money, even though it's quote unquote DAO, decided to leverage trade it and lost all of it, right? So and then there's no liquidity left in the pool and everybody else takes it out and it goes to zero, right? Essentially, that was the question that like was the most important point within the Constitution that like is solved to a degree, like where you can actually share like the actual finances and the revenue and the profits without there being a central middleman who has to pay everyone and someone at the top of the hierarchy who's making the decisions of like where it goes. It's like more participation based and voting based upon how like the DAO decides that person is doing based upon their participation within that role. It's like a very, very different model. So that's like the main point that I like found as a reader.
Yeah, I think that's like really, really, really well said. And especially like in that case where, you know, the guy who's running the treasury at Wonderland, you know, if there was mechanisms in place for more transparency to happen and for mechanisms to get that guy out of there, once they find out that there was like some kind of like shady stuff or at least some undesirable stuff happening in the treasury, you know, we've got mechanisms in place like in our constitution that would basically allow the removal of that person very, very quickly. Whereas I know with Sifu or whatever, he was like a bad actor, right? And then there was like a whole thing, and there was like a whole while before he was actually able to get kicked out of the SIG wallet and all of that. And so we've got a bunch more mechanisms for basically ejecting bad actors out of the system or people who just don't want to participate and be able to switch roles real time. And this is something that we're going to have to work with the technology and see and kind of find the balance of like how exactly we're going to do that. But in its sense, we've got some structural ways in which we can bring people in and out of roles, in and out of participation very quickly and very adaptively.
I think that's a word.
Is that a word?
That works.
If that's a word. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. We know what it means. I think that's what's important, right? We hear what you mean. Yeah. No, and that's important, right? So like all of those mechanisms are you think, you know, if you're putting forethought into something like that, you'd think they're there. But like obviously, you know, some of the biggest players in the game, you know, didn't have those things in place, right? And it was detrimental for them.
Right.
Okay, does anybody in the just real quick? Yeah. Does anyone in the audience have a question? Feel free to raise your hand. No whitelist spots if we don't have any questions. Okay, so you know, you have the investor education, and you guys plan on having any sort of like structured content for that section or for that portion of the Joe Shmoe?
What exactly do you mean by structured? You mean DAO structure?
So like no, so I mean like for the like any educational content, are you guys planning on having like, you know, like any sort of like weekly chats or like, you know, weekly, you know, knowledge drops, any sort of you know, videos, anything like that? Like how is that portion of the club gonna present itself?
Gotcha. Yeah, I've very intentionally made zero promises of any particular content or cadence or format or anything, just with the general intention of wanting to provide as much value as I can with the energy that I have, and also seeking to empower other people in the community to create content as well, because the Joe Schmoes that are in our Discord are really badass. Like I'm super excited to have them right now, and we have in process a multi-part series. So far, we've released 4 parts of it. It's called How to Invest in Crypto Like a Joe. And essentially it's foundational knowledge in why crypto has become so popular by understanding why fiat is problematic. And then from there, teaching people how to evaluate their investments. But before even doing that, like, how do you even wrap your mind around this? And how do you manage your emotions? Because the whole like pandemic of paper-handedness is because people aren't really sure why they're investing in something with a degree of solidity and like assurance and confidence. And they also don't understand the market cycles, and they don't understand so many things, and like how to manage their emotions and how to hold wealth and how to hold when things change very, very quickly. So that is a multi-part series that's being co-written by myself, and also we're calling him Joe number 5, who started out with literally $140 or $200, some small amount of money, was able to turn that into 70K, then lost absolutely everything, started again, grew that to a couple hundred grand, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later, he was managing 10 million plus under his management. So he's seen the wild highs, the wild lows. He has wisdom from both sides. So really excited about that particular series. I have a desire to continue to publish really awesomely written educational content. You know, we've considered all different kinds of content, like creating a video series about how to structure a DAO. We have an upcoming Twitter space with some of the biggest, most popular projects on Solana, where we're going to be talking about exactly that. Really, what I want to do, though, is not just come up with ideas for what I think people want to know, what I think people want to learn about, and instead take feedback from the community and be able to dive deeper and kind of cater everything towards them. But it is, right now, it's me. I just, over the past 5 years, built and now about to sell a digital marketing agency. And that has been a really rewarding slog. Like, it's been a lot. And so I don't want like the burden of having to do all of this content creation, all of this work to be on my shoulders squarely all the time, which is another reason why I'm super stoked about this DAO and being able to empower other people. So I guess that's a really long-winded way of saying I'm not making any promises, but I want to hook everybody up with the best educational content I possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's amazing, and it's something that's needed in the space, because I mean, it's so funny. You talked about somebody going from $200 to 70K to 0 to 200K. Like, I mean, I think there's a lot of us that have had that experience. You know, probably in this room, and definitely in Cryptonairz and in the space in general, because you know, it's it's eerily common that when somebody who has not had money before comes into, you know, more money than they've ever had, they're almost like always going to lose it, right?
Exactly.
Which I've done. Like, I'm on my way. Like, I had an Amazon business that I started in 2020. Like, ended up making, like, you know, multiple 7 figures. Literally lost it all, and now I'm, you know, a couple hundred grand in debt and working my way out, right? So if I had maybe some basic financial, you know, literacy training or investment education before that had happened, you know, things might have been different. So
Totally, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely something that's needed in the space.
Yeah, when you go from, you know, because it takes a decade to become an overnight success, right? So you built your Amazon store, all of a sudden you were making money hand over fist. It felt like money was absolutely, you know, infinite. So you're taking these wild bets and doing things that you wouldn't have normally done, maybe even a year ago or a few months previous. So we're teaching people, like, how do you handle losing? Like, how do you emotionally handle losing and stay in the game? But also, how do you handle winning? Because once you get millions of dollars, or whatever amount is a lot for you, then you're now the steward of those resources. And if you don't know how to hold that, then, you know, that's you know, likely going to happen to you as well. So I think it's really important. It's something that I'm deeply passionate about, because I went from busting my ass in the corporate world. Actually, not really. I've worked in corporate for a couple of years, but I built a few businesses, have been an entrepreneur my whole life, and was working really hard. And I thought that the way to make money was through, you know, hard work and hustling. And then crypto came into my life, and RHH, spent some time with me, and so did Joe number 4 here, who's on his machine right now, his device. They showed me some new things, and I was, doing my own research and making some investments, and all of a sudden I was making 10x passively what I was working actively, and that completely broke my brain. I was like, okay, this is what I want to focus on full time. And I also want to teach other people how to do this too, because we can have a world where everybody has so much more personal freedom. And like the whole decentralization thing of crypto gives you that responsibility to create your own freedom. And so if there's anything we're teaching them, it's not like, oh, just how do you evaluate a token, or why is Bitcoin popular? No, it's like, how can you create freedom in your life? And if you can do that financially, you can do that in every aspect of your life.
Well said. Well said. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, I guess none of you get on the whitelist.
Right.
It
I see a lot of people here too.
We're not that mean.
We're just joking. But the whitelist does
Yeah.
close today. Like, this is the last day. Like, literally after this call, we're gonna give you what, RHH, like maybe an hour to get on the whitelist. Then we're sending it over to Magic Eden and finalize.
Probably 30 minutes. Yeah, we're launching on Magic Eden through their launchpad.
So everyone I know we had 70 spots allocated. So I mean, everybody who's here in the AMA will definitely be guaranteed a spot. And then I can give away the other 30 in the chat and get you guys what you need.
Brad, I think we can do, I mean, if you guys are interested, we can do up to 100. We have space for 100.
We could do
we can definitely do that. Yeah, I'll do a giveaway bot, and we'll give away the other 50 for those who aren't in here.
Brad.
Oh, here we go. Curious Abe. How's it going, man?
What's up, Curious?
There we go. Okay, unmuted. No, I just had a specific question. If you guys are going to be doing not just, kind of a group club thing, but more of like one-on-one, or if that's going to be an extra service that you would provide or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It really just depends. So yeah, like we're providing education and resources to the community as a whole. And if somebody is up to something that we're really excited about and is in alignment with what we're doing, then we might choose to spend some more time with somebody. It's a possibility, again, something that I wouldn't want to particularly promise, but we're open to it. We're open to receiving that communication and seeing how we can help. Just some more context, Joe Schmoes Not So Average Club is our inaugural internal NFT launch as an organization. So we have an NFT incubator and launchpad called Transformation Labs, and we have a couple client projects that are coming down the pipeline that are going to be much bigger in terms of collection size. At least we wanted to keep the Joe's community really, really small and tight knit so that people can feel like it's a family. We're only launching with 2,222 NFTs. We have a whitelist that will probably buy maybe 75% of that. It's hard to say before the launch. I don't really know what's going to happen. And then the public mint that's opening up to Magic Eden, we're going to be on their launch pad. So we'll be the only project launching through their launch pad that entire day. So only a small portion of the collection will be purchased by the public if, our whitelist, jumps in and apes into the project, which I think they will. So just some context there. It's happening on Friday. We're minting on Friday. Yeah. Any other questions? I hope that answered your question. I wasn't exactly sure, what kind of support you're looking for or curious about.
It's like he hopped off stage.
And we're pretty available in Discord. So if you had any specific questions for us, whether it be around building DAOs or NFT trading, messaging one of us on Discord or posting it in the general chat, we'll usually get you a pretty quick response. So we're always open to that.
Cool.
Agreed.
Very good. Yeah, and that's oops, sorry, it's calling me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mos.
We can hear you.
Well, somebody called me while I was in my AirPods, and now my Apple devices. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Oh, you're good. We can hear you.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. All right, Agent Margolis, come on up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hey, what's up, Agent?
Hi there. I'm absolutely loving everything that I'm hearing. I'm a huge fan of what you guys are a stand for, and strongly believe that the whole, shift into cryptocurrency and decentralization offers us an entirely newfound sense of freedom. And right now, obviously, what's going on in the market is a little stomach churning. And so I'm curious to get you guys' perspective on how you navigate the ups and downs of that, particularly at the kind of emotional level.
Good question.
Sure.
Go for it, RHH.
All right, I'll speak to it. I guess the best way that it's a really great question. And the best way that I can frame it is basically treating your whatever's happening with your financial life like you're basically becoming a crypto Buddhist. And it's like, how do you become like detached from the outcome, but attached enough to pay attention to the market? Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to invest in something, not pay attention to it at all, and then be detached from it. But if you're able to be attached and still feel the market, then you're basically attaching yourself to all the waves of emotion that are coming through. And so the best thing and like the best practice that I have for anyone who's like kind of struggling with that process or finding that it's taking up a lot of attention is that whenever crazy moves are happening in the market is to really just like slow down and really feel like all the sensation that's like happening in your body from either the raise in the crypto, because what can actually happen too, and I've had this happen to me before, is like once something starts taking off, it can really impact your body as well. Because let's say you're about to 10x your income, your body is like having to hold a lot more sensation because of the possibilities of all the money that you might have. And so if you're used to, making $10 an hour at a job, $20, $30, and you might just make 5 times your salary in one day, it's going to take some time for that to stabilize. And it's kind of like, people who win the lottery, what happens is, they're just living their normal everyday life. They kind of have this specific mindset about how money is to be made. Then they make $10 million and then they spend it all within 1 year. And then their whole life falls apart again and they end up broke. And so part of like riding the wave up is like learning to like hold all of the money that you're making and not just kind of like go crazy from it. And I'm sure people have heard stories of, people who just become super rich, especially in the crypto space. And then they still end up like being assholes to people and like don't carry any humbleness with that. And then they end up losing it and end up in a really challenging situation. So that's one side of it. And then the other side is when you lose a whole lot of money is doing the same thing and like feeling of like what's going to happen if like everything goes to zero. And so when that sensation comes up is like basically just stopping and letting yourself feel all of that until the emotion stabilizes in your being. And then once that emotion's clear, you can make more sound decisions. And I think where people make a lot of the bad trading decisions is because they're still feeling a lot of sensation and like fear about it going down. And so then they FUD and then they mess up and then they mess up again. It's like kind of like going to a blackjack table at poker and you lose $100 and you're like, I'm just going to go to the ATM and take out 800 more. And then they go back and they lose it all. And then they keep going back to the ATM. It's like, give yourself some breathers, give yourself some time. If you miss one opportunity, that's totally fine. There's so many opportunities in crypto, like new ones come up every hour. And so it's like having that standpoint is really, really important. And that's kind of the gist, is like learning to like become stable in your own emotions and like really sitting with your emotions before doing anything is a really important part of that.
Yeah. So
diving into the crypto world. Don't mean to cut you off, Magic.
I'll go for it.
Diving into the crypto world is like diving into the investment world, the traditional investment world, is like kind of like jumping into a river, and jumping into the crypto worlds is jumping into the Grand Rapids, right? Like things are happening so quickly and moving so fast that you really can't find a grounding for yourself. And what would happen if you jumped into the Grand Rapids is like You're going to fall, you're going to hit some rocks at the bottom, you're going to come up for air and think that you've already found the ability to swim, and then you're going to go back under and back up. And what I'm getting at is like most people, as soon as they jump in and hit the first rock, just pull themselves to the side of the river and get out. And they're just like, okay, that was too much for me. I like crypto's a scam, or crypto's this, or crypto's that. Like the whole point of investment, whether it be inside or outside of crypto, is being able to find your capacity to like float and flow with the way the river's moving, and like allowing yourself to like be stable within the crazy rapids and the crazy amount of information that's like constantly flowing in our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I have, I have friends that have seen some
Thank
of
you
my.
guys so much. That's really helpful.
Thanks for coming up.
You got it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody knows someone who's done that. I mean, if you tell your friends, hey, I made, I doubled my money in a day or whatever on something or other, they want to get in, play with it. They throw some money in, the market takes a downturn, they lose a little bit, and they're running away, right? And that's so common. Perseverance is essential in this game for sure.
Totally, and that's why talking about wealth mindset is not just a bunch of fluff. Like it's not just some positive thinking mentality. Like it's a real dynamic that supersedes everything. It's like I've seen wealthy entrepreneurs lose millions, lose everything, go into debt, and then they keep their wealthy mindset and they just build it again. They just do it over and over and over. It doesn't matter if they lose the wealth because they have the tools and the mindset to get it back. On the flip side, the lottery example that RHH shared is exactly it. It's like if somebody has a poverty-based mindset, or maybe not an abundant mindset, and they get $10 million, they can't hold that. It's going to they're going to lose it all, right? So both are true, and that's why we start with mindset. And part of mindset is educating yourself on some of the fundamentals, like understanding market cycles. It's like understanding that market downturns are temporary and a bit predictable is going to help you to keep your head, and also understanding why you fundamentally invested in that token or project in the first place is going to be the little pep talk you need to hodl, right? Instead of selling and actualizing your losses before the market turns up again.
Exactly. And man, it's oh man, you're so right. It is scary. It is scary though to watch those chart drop right after you put you put something in, especially if you're playing something that's small cap.
Right. I've been there as well.
I mean, yeah, I think that's what most people are starting to like get the experience of in the NFT realm, because like most people that I've observed in the NFT community are just like pretty relatively new to crypto as a whole. Like most of the guys in our group have sat through like the 2017 to 2019 bear market, or 2018 to 2020 bear market, right? Like while that was like a super long drawn out like painful experience of watching like my finances like go lower and lower and lower, it was also probably one of the best experiences and best lessons like I could have ever learned, because without like understanding and watching how my body felt like during the times of actually losing money, I wouldn't have had the ability and the capacity to actually turn it around and make more money, and see how much persistence and fortitude I have.
Well said, man. Well said. Do we have any other questions from the audience?
I see somebody raising their hand. Fancy Steven.
Ooh, here we go. Fancy Steven.
Come up here, fancy man.
Yes, it's not a regular Steven, it's a fancy Steven. That's what they say on another Discord, and it's pretty hilarious the way he does that. Anyway, I work graveyard. I just woke up and I didn't catch the entire thing of what's going on, but the way you were talking, and I guess I'm not really sure that I have a full question here, but the way you were talking and your sounds and your compassion and your kindness that you or the thought of kindness and the way you want to help people with what you're doing, it sounds absolutely incredible. I felt like when I was younger, I was in a poverty mindset. And as I got older and I got into a really good business, I made a lot of money and I lost it as well. And now I have a son with special needs. And I'm using crypto to make sure that this child is taken care of for the rest of his life. And just to keep that mindset of when things go tough and when, like the market in the last 3 weeks has looked awful, just like everybody said. So, like I said, I don't know that I really have a question other than this sounds really exciting and really interesting. And I really hope that everything that you're saying here that I've heard at the end of this is, can really help me out and make sure, because I get concerned when I really do make a lot of money in crypto. How am I going to handle that? And what am I going to do with it?
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Stephen. I really, really, really appreciate you coming up here and saying that. And it lights a fire under me, because this is why I get inspired and this is why I get passionate about what I do, because you are not only creating this freedom for yourself, but you're taking responsibility of your child and creating freedom for them too, so that he or she never has to worry, and you never have to worry about them. Like, what better reason to educate yourself and surround yourself by other people who are going to support you along the way? So that's exactly why we do what we do. So yeah, thanks again, Stephen.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And just to add to that, and a part of like why it's kind of like our approach with our project, and is to like really educate people, and everything that we're sharing here is to really help people stand on their own two feet when it comes to this, because we can't go around and tell everyone, here's the move that you should do. Like, your circumstance is unique to everyone else's here on the Discord. All we can really do is share the tools that we've learned and all the experiences that we've had that have helped us navigate our moment to moment life. And as we navigate like our moment to moment life and our crypto and our finances with some grace and some balls, for lack of better terms, a lot of amazing things can happen. And so yeah, that's why we do what we do. Thank you so much for sharing.
I think maybe I do have a question in regards to this. So, as an older individual in crypto, I had my son believe it or not, seventh kid late in life, and he was special needs. When unfortunately, my brother would say, I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. Have you heard, or have you ever thought about at the point of, okay, this person's doing all this work, they're doing this mindset, they're doing something like this, of how can we help the people behind him when that unfortunate time comes, with everything that they've done, if that makes sense to you?
Right, absolutely. I'm getting a little bit of background noise, probably from some of your 7 kids, but happy to answer this question. It's like, part of it is understanding what kind of investor you want to be, and your investment timeline and horizon is in some part dictated by your age. So that's an important factor to consider. And there was a second part to your question as well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right. There was kids in the background, so that's why I muted myself as fast as possible. Yeah, so okay, eventually I'm going to pass away. And there's not going to be a lot of knowledge base on, believe it or not, my wife has a disability and my son is special needs. So I'm trying to set this up. I'm working with them as much as I can to get this set up. And I guess I'm just kind of wondering, in your education, is there something that could be done in regards to, hey, here's some steps to take, and I'm trying to take my own steps by making things as easy as possible. How to get this money if something happens to me.
Absolutely. Well, this is a perfect example of the type of content that we would want to custom create based on what the community is desiring. What I would do in order to craft that for you is, instead of just speaking to this, where I've done like my own end of life planning. I'm young. I'm 32. So I don't foresee that that's going to be happening at any time, but who knows? So I'm very blessed in my life to have RHH and Joe 4 and like my friends and family who are crypto literate. And I've provided very clear instructions to my siblings on what to do and how to manage these assets, and who I trust managing these assets when I'm gone. Because this is not like a traditional bank account where you can just list the beneficiary and then it's passed over and you're good to go. It's like, how are you going to give people like 20 different secret passcodes to your random ass wallets, and managing nodes and tokens and whatever you're into? So it could be a bit, it's a bit different in the crypto world than it is the traditional world. So this inspires me to reach out to some people I know who will have very strong opinions on this, because I do think that it's very important, because if you don't plan for this and something does happen, well, guess what? Nobody can access anything. So very good question.
Yeah, that's really cool you bring that up too. I think Magic, we were just talking about that the other week too.
Yeah, we were.
Okay, well, thank you. I don't want to go anywhere anytime soon, but I am 54, so it is just it's unfortunately the time is inevitable at one point. But yeah, I'm trying to build life building wealth for myself and basically more for him than anything else. So thanks you guys for your time.
Amen. Thank you, Stephen. Hope to talk with you again.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey man, I think you got at least 30 left in you. Okay, you got time. And hey, Stephen, we'll have to talk sometime. I actually have a special needs son as well, so I mean that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about. Is like it's not only okay, how do I, live a comfortable life, but you have a whole human being that you have to account for living his entire life, taken care of as well. So I'd love to pick your brain sometime and see what you come up with. All right. Well, I guess with that, if you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and draw it to a close if we don't have any more questions. I'm personally going to be minting on Friday. I think this is an awesome concept that is needed. Like we need people like you guys, looking out for the community and helping to educate as many people as you can, especially with so many bad actors out there. So I'm super stoked.
You still there?
Is there anything you guys want to add before we close?
I think you cut out for a second, but I got the gist of it. I feel pretty complete. I'm really excited to have been here and to have met your community. Thank you so much, Mose, for inviting us up here. It's just the reminder is the whitelist closes in 30 minutes, so get your name on there. We are minting on Friday on Magic Eden. RHH, what time is it again? 11 a.m. Mountain, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, correct?
1 p.m. Eastern, yeah, for the whitelist, and then the public sale is an hour after that.
Cool. And you guys won't need to be in the public sale if you whitelist. So that's pretty much it.
Do you guys want them to just hop into the server and open a ticket with you, or do you want me to? How do you want to get these people who are in the AMA on the whitelist?
Yeah, the best way is just to go into our Discord and then just head into the whitelist access channel. It'll happen as soon as you verify your account. You just hop in there, just say that you came from Cryptonairz, and we'll get you on there immediately. But just do it really quick because we got to send this stuff to Magic Eden very, very soon.
Okay. Yeah, go do it now. I will post a link to the Discord in the announcements channel just so you guys can have an easy access to it. So there's no confusion here.
Amazing. Thank you, Mose.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, thank you guys very much. I look forward to talking to you guys again. I'd love to come back and speak with you, maybe like a month or two from now, once everything's been kind of rolling for a little while and find out what you guys have learned.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, hey, thank you guys. And for the audience, we have one more AMA this week. We've got one on Friday with the neighbors. So hop in for that. And then next week, there aren't going to be any AMAs from me. I'm going to be out of town, but we should have some coming up the week after that. So hope everybody has a great evening, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Amazing. Take care, guys.
Good one, y'all.
Thanks,
Bye, guys.
Mose.
Thanks, Mose.